What's up, YouTube? Welcome to the live econ guy. So, guys, Jerome Powell at the Jackson Hole. No more soft landing. That phrase pretty much was not used by him at all. No more soft landing, guys. He used that in the previous two or three Fed meetings, the FOMC meetings, and he did not use that once today at the Jackson Hole. He came out. You could see that he was irritated. He was annoyed. If you take a look at his eyebrows, you kind of see that he's not in the best of mood. And you might ask why, like what's going on? And I think I know what's going on. He is annoyed that the public and the markets, they've been calling the Fed's bluff. So they thought that the Fed is going to pivot, but Jerome Powell said that there is still pain ahead, which means that he's not pivoting, he's not staying at that 2% neutral, he's going to keep hiking rates. And I think we have reason to believe him, guys. The Fed has a history of hiking rates. So pretty much Jerome Powell understands that the Fed somewhat lost credibility to the public, to the markets. We see the stock markets rallying the past 2 months or so, even though Jerome Powell has been saying rates are going to keep hiking. Rates have been going up, but you still see the Dow, the S&P 500, the Nasdaq, everything is just rallying. It's crazy. What this means, all these rallies and the markets and the public calling the Fed's bluff, is that there's going to be sharper crashes ahead of us. So at the next meeting, when Jerome Powell says, we're hiking rates by 100 basis points, you're going to go from not 3,600 S&P 500 to, let's say, 34 or whatever. You're going to go from 41 to 34. So that's a much higher percent crash. And that's not good for Jerome Powell. That's why he wanted that soft landing. He wanted the markets to slowly kind of inch down instead of having these sharp spikes. So I think that's why he came out, and he wasn't in the best of moods. I think he came out, he said, what, I'm gonna be brief and I'm gonna be direct. It sounded like someone pulling you aside and giving you the pep talk for I don't know, speaking in church or something like that, talking in church or doing something you're not supposed to be doing, like when your parents do that. But what he did mention, what Jerome Powell did mention, is that there is going to be another unusually large increase at the next FOMC meeting. I think he thinks it's going to be appropriate, and I think it is appropriate, guys. All this all this inflation data coming in, it's not really being impacted by these recent rate hikes. It's going to take months and maybe even a year for any kind of impact to happen, for prices to start going down, for job markets to stop being so tight. It takes time, and he did mention that the Fed wants elevated rates at least through 2023. So guys, there is no pivot ahead. They want that long run neutral, which means that they're going to have to get an average neutral, which is not a 2%. They're not just trying to reach 2%, which I think is what the markets thought. They reach that neutral, they're done. They're going to stay at that 2%. But no, they want long run 2%, which means that they're going to have to keep rates elevated for a long time, because in the past decade, the rates have been essentially zero. So how long do you need to have elevated rates to reach some kind of a 2% average? It's going to take a really long time. What Jerome Powell also mentioned, and I think it's really interesting, he brought up Paul Volcker. If you know who Paul Volcker is, he was the Fed chairman in the 80s, and he pretty much fought inflation with some really high interest rate hikes. If you think right now what's happening, 75% basis points, that's nothing. Like, Paul Volcker really took the economy and bent it over. Like, he took control and he took care of inflation. So I think what Jerome Powell is going to end up doing is potentially partially following in Paul Volcker's footsteps. Jerome Powell also mentioned that the job must be done, like, without any kind of pivoting or anything of that nature, no matter what. So yeah, guys, let me know what you think. I do think that this is and I think Michael Burry called it. I made a video about Michael Burry and him calling a stock market crash pretty soon, calling everything that's going on, funny money, that kind of thing. He did liquidate his stock portfolio because he did see what's going on, is that the markets and the public were trying to call the Fed's bluff, and the Fed was not bluffing, guys. They're gonna do their job. They're gonna take care of inflation. They want price stability, and they want a good jobs market. So once again, guys, thank you for tuning in. I'd appreciate if you like my video, so we can get the algorithms moving. And I will be leaving some links down below in the video description. I think it's some really interesting articles to look at.